You're not alone if you are feeling lonely. A lot of people have gone through it in their past while some are still going through it. I know what it means to be lonely because I have gone through it too. I have felt every gripping moment of it. The long hours which seems like days, the lonely nights where I weep in silence, drenching my pillow with tears, the lack of desire to face the next day, and the thought of wanting to end it all. Having people around you or being in a relationship doesn't solve it most times. It doesn't matter if you have a girlfriend or boyfriend, husband or wife. No matter how close you are with them, there are parts of you that they just don't understand. Sharing the pain with friends doesn't mean it's going to go away. People don't understand you despite the fact that you want them to really feel and understand what you are going through. It's like being lost in the middle of a crowd. It feels like you're in the middle of everybody, but you can't see nobody to help you get out of this. Relax. Take a deep breath because I have good news for you. This video is going to help solve this issue or at least ease the pain. What I will be sharing with you in this video is aimed at accomplishing a few things. These are: understanding the theory behind loneliness to better understand yourself, understanding the feelings associated with loneliness, developing a healthy feeling of love to help you overcome problems, practical steps to break the lonely cycle, replace the feeling of loneliness with healthy thoughts. I really hope that after watching this video, you will be able to deal with loneliness, or you'll be able to help a friend that's feeling lonely. We all have felt lonely at one stage or another. Technology advancement is even making this worse, as people will rather spend more time with their gadgets than friends and family. Let's begin by clarifying what loneliness really means. Loneliness is an emotional state. This is a state where people experience a disconnection from people around them, as well as a deep feeling of emptiness, which renders their present company around them meaningless. The lonely person could be in a big crowd or by him or herself. He or she could be married or single, young or old. They just find it very hard to connect with others and experiences emancipation from meaningful relationships. Do not confuse this with being alone. They are completely different. People need to be alone sometimes to refresh. It doesn't mean they feel lonely. To better understand what loneliness is, let me share some of the common symptoms with you. A lonely person thinks his or her problems are so unique that others don't understand. Because of this, he or she feels that other people in the world have friends but they don't. Lonely people feel extremely self-conscious in everything they do. They feel that when they do something wrong, they get really embarrassed. When in a crowd, they feel drowned by voices. They don't feel connected with the crowd, even though they are with them. They are shy and always scared of others. They experience low self-esteem. They are angry, defensive, and critical at everything, even if it is not directed at them. They are afraid of strangers and refuse to engage in a hearty conversation. They're convinced there is something wrong with them. They feel anxious and are sad because they believing no one knows how isolated they feel. They reject change and don't want to try anything new. They feel like nothing in life matters, and they start thinking of suicide. Have you ever had that feeling that your spouse or partner doesn't understand what you are going through? Or your close friends are around you, but their presence makes you feel like you are drowning? People feel that way because everyone is different. People have different personalities and way of doing things. We can't all be the same. There is a quote from the Bible that says, "If I try to remove the speck from my neighbor's eye, I must first remove the plank from my own eye. Then I can see clearly before I attempt to remove his speck." Why did I bring this up? If we understand that other people are not obliged to fulfill our needs, we somehow learn to expect less from others, and it eases the pain, because we stop expecting more from them. We learn to accept them better and judge others less, so it creates the first step to curing loneliness. It is also important to move away from negative thinking people. If all you get from the crowd around you is a negative vibe, you're most likely going to remain in your loneliness. People all over the world go through emotional pains. Even celebrities who most people think are fulfilled are not exempted. It is important to know that loneliness is radically due to the failure of people in loving others. The symptoms of loneliness magnetize the effects of the pain to the extent that it forces the focus of attention more on ourselves and creates a self-preoccupation that creates an obstacle to love others. In other words, it's because we tend to love ourselves too much rather than loving others as ourselves. If you've ever had a serious headache, the only person you're thinking about at that moment is yourself. This world is full of pain, but you shouldn't neglect others just because you feel a lot of pain and you think no one understands the pain you are bearing. You should try to be a helper to another person in pain, rather than just focusing on yourself alone. This will help you forget about what you're going through and you will heal much faster. The lack of love constitutes the loneliness breeding in a person's heart. It is a scary fact to note that we are largely shaped by others. Love gives life to others. But what is most important is to remember is that in order to love someone else effectively, we must love ourselves first. You can't give what you don't have. You may think you love a beautiful girl or a handsome guy. If you don't love yourself, that is not love. You may admire that person because he or she is good looking. You may worship that person because you think he or she is better. You may even sacrifice your life for him or her for your own selfish, self-gratifying ego, but you do not love. Love is an action. The feeling of love is actually a product of the action. By loving yourself first, it forms the basis or foundation by which you love others, without which it is merely a baseless act of self-deception that appears to be loving. But how do we love ourselves if we have never been loved? The first step to dealing with loneliness is by learning to love. But first we must examine the paradox to love. When we are lonely, we feel like we are in an unbearable prison. Loneliness is just like the headache. We want all the attention. So, we try and fill this emptiness by finding others who will give us that very love we need. People often try to do things for others to gain their love. They barter trade favors with each other, thinking that they are loving people. We know that our loneliness can only be filled by the love of others, and therefore we must feel loved by others. What is the love paradox? If we seek to fill the void of our own loneliness in seeking love from others, we will inevitably find no consolation, but only a deeper desolation. In other words, if we seek the love that we need, we will never find it. When a person orients his life towards the satisfaction of his own needs, when he goes out to seek the love which he needs, he is basically self-centered, no matter how pitiful he is. As long as he focuses on himself, his ability to love will always remain stunted. So, what is the solution? If you seek not to receive love, but rather try to give it without strings attached, you will become lovable, and you will most certainly be loved by others in the end. You must stop being concerned with yourself and begin to be concerned with others. Beginning with the end in mind, which focuses the results of the act of loving others, without concern with self-gain, is the first step to gaining love and easing the pain of loneliness. Every single person on earth has some capacity to love. You're not in any way different. We all have some ability to focus the attention off ourselves to the needs and concern of others. It is the extent that we are willing to give that we are able to receive that amount of love from others. The way people react to you is due to the way you think about yourself. Why do you think people judge a book by its cover, or a bad person by the clothes they wear? I know it is unfair, but the way a person thinks in his heart is the way he will appear or even behave. If you project an aura of unwantedness, you will feel unwanted and your friends will reject you unconsciously. Stop acting like a wet, unwanted puppy who just escaped from the pound. Say to yourself, you find me attractive, lovable and good company. It is true we can't always convince ourselves that we are lovable and attractive, but since we can't control what others think, this form of affirmation actually fools our mind into thinking we are lovable and attractive. Constantly remind yourself that the feeling of loneliness is temporary, and you will get over it in time. Make an effort to talk to someone new. I know it is hard, but you must develop momentum, and the first step is usually the hardest but most necessary. Put yourself in new situations where you will meet people. Engage in activities in which you have genuine interest. Meet with people of similar interest. Join societies like church groups, organizations, and others. Stop listening to lonely songs. Open yourself to others first. Don't expect people to share their problems with a closed person. Don't judge new people on the basis of past relationships with old people. Try to see each person you meet from a new perspective instead of being judgmental. Intimate friendships usually develop gradually as people learn to share their inner feelings. Don't rush into intimate friendship by sharing too much or expecting that it will help you heal immediately. Don't just seek romantic relationships. Platonic or even casual buddies can be extremely satisfactory. Lead a well-balanced life. Never neglect good nutrition, exercise, and sufficient sleep. One of the main causes of depression which leads to loneliness is the lack of those things. Spending time alone will help you examine yourself more closely. Don't be a parasite to your friends. If you seek them for compassion and sympathy, they will be there for you. But if you repeatedly drone over and over about your problems, it becomes a nuisance and your friends will at best just entertain you. Reflect back on good memories and count your blessings. Learn a new skill. Success in achieving something will make you feel good about yourself. If you are having long-term depression, it is not wrong to seek medical advice. It is perfectly normal to get a prescription because lack of certain chemicals in the body is also the source of depression and can be treated easily. If we feel hungry and seek food, having the right medicine in proper dosage is the right way to tackle depression and feel less lonely. See a counselor and talk in privacy. Spend time in prayer. I hope this video will help you as you try to become the best version of you. Please like and share this video so that others can also find it. Remember to subscribe to this channel. God bless you.